The real threat to our league isn't money, it isn't ratings, or even missed calls, or even physical play. It's the lack of accountability from the league office.
Finally, WNBA players have said something right. Finally, WNBA players are willing to publicly acknowledge what Uncle KC has been saying about this dump of a league for years. Napheesa Collier might not have said this explicitly or verbatim, but Uncle KC was reading between the lines here. I was smelling the poo that she was cooking. Napheesa Collier, she spoke for almost 5 minutes, but I can summarize what she was trying to say in about 5 seconds, because it is the exact same thing that I have been saying for years. The WNBA sucks. I mean, it sucks. I'm just surprised that WNBA players are finally willing to admit the truth. It's not very often that I agree with the minimum wage earners in the WNBA. They think they are worth millions of dollars. I don't think they're worth Ethiopian breadcrumbs. They think they deserve chartered flights. I think they have earned second-class tickets on the Bruce Caboose. Most WNBA players think they are huge stars. Cops around the country think WNBA players are missing persons. But as I was listening to Napheesa Collier earlier this afternoon, I was surprised to find myself agreeing with one of her points. The biggest threat to our dump, the biggest threat to losing off-season access to the Platinum Pooper, the biggest threat to the future of pretend basketball, it's not the fact that our product absolutely sucks. It's not the fact that very few people are willing to watch us. The biggest threat to our dump is the lack of accountability from the league office. Yeah, I happen to agree, but not for the reason that Napheesa Collier may think. Napheesa Collier is right. The diva of dump divas, Cathy Engelbert, or as she prefers to be called, the goddess of garbage. Cathy Engelbert is a shitty leader. In the past 2 years, there have been several instances where the WNBA desperately needed leadership, and Cathy Engelbert went missing faster than a layup from Angel Reese. Remember all those times that WNBA players accused Caitlin Clark fans of mythical racism? Or what about the jealousy, the resentment of Caitlin Clark that was prevalent throughout the WNBA last year? Remember when Angel Reese claimed to be the victim of racism from an overly aggressive fan? The entire interaction was recorded and there was not a single shred of evidence. But Angel Reese, she still claimed to be the ultimate victim. Or what about last month, when Natasha Cloud insinuated that Charlie Kirk was somehow responsible for his own death? Oh, the good times. And where was Cathy Engelbert when WNBA players were making these magical memories? How many times did she issue a public statement condemning this stupidity? How many times did she tell WNBA players that the only thing make-believe in their league was the basketball and there would no longer be make-believe racism? How many times did Cathy Engelbert defend her only star player? None. Matter of fact, if you believe Napheesa Collier, Cathy Engelbert believes that Caitlin Clark should be grateful to the WNBA because the league is somehow responsible for her million-dollar sponsorship deals. No wonder this league is a flaming ass fire. No wonder this league has been unprofitable for the last 30 years. The leader of the WNBA could not generate breadcrumbs if you gave her a piece of stale bread. But that is not why Napheesa Collier believes that Cathy Engelbert is a bad leader. Make no mistake about it, that press conference this afternoon, this was intentional. This was the first public shot in what's about to be a very long civil war in the WNBA. A civil war that I believe will cancel the 2026 season and cause irreparable damage to the WNBA dump. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel in the description below. Earlier today on the second channel, I explained why Spencer Rattler will soon be benched by Kellen Moore and the Saints. Now, mentally speaking, Spencer Rattler is a hell of a lot better than Derek Carr. Unlike Donnie, Spence knows how to lead men. He knows how to earn their respect. The problem with Spence, he struggles with accuracy, and you can't be a franchise quarterback in the NFL if you're completing 26% of your passes when you're throwing deep. So if you haven't already, click the link in the description below, subscribe to the second channel. As always, I appreciate your support. Earlier this afternoon, Napheesa Collier gave her final press conference of the season. Obviously, the mood was somber. The Minnesota Lynx were eliminated from the playoffs, which means they have lost their chance to win the WNBA finals and secure off-season access to the Platinum Pooper. I know this is a very hard turd for the Lynx to swallow. They were the best team in pretend basketball throughout the regular season. Get to the second round of the playoffs, and they run into the Phoenix Masculines. Whew. I don't care how good you are, it's hard for women to beat the masculines. All kidding aside, I think the reason Napheesa Collier was somber, I think it had nothing to do with pretend basketball. Napheesa's mad, because Cathy Engelbert is refusing to give in to the unreasonable demands of WNBA players. According to Napheesa Collier, this makes Cathy Engelbert the worst leader in the world. I guess she's already forgotten about Joe Biden. Watch it for yourself.
Whether the league cares about the health of the players is one thing, but to also not care about the product we put on the floor is truly self-sabotage. Year after year, the only thing that remains consistent is the lack of accountability from our leaders. The league has a buzzword that they've rolled out as talking points for the CBA as to why they can't pay the players what we're worth. That word is sustainability. But what's truly unsustainable is keeping a good product on the floor while allowing officials to lose control of games. That is negligence. At Unrivaled this past February, I sat across from Cathy and asked how she planned to address the officiating issues in our league. Her response was, well, only the losers complain about the refs. We have the best players in the world. We have the best fans in the world. But right now, we have the worst leadership in the world.
For starters, and I cannot believe I've got to say this again, and I know some of those associated with the WNBA watch Uncle Casey when they want to know the truth about their league, so I'm going to say this again, because clearly, Cathy Engelbert and her overly inflated ego don't seem to understand. You did not negotiate your TV deal. Matter of fact, you actually complained because Adam Silver refused to allow you to negotiate with the networks. The WNBA TV deal is another generous offer, donation from the NBA. Adam Silver took money from the NBA's broadcast rights deal and he gave it to you. Key word, gave. I noticed another key word in that statement from Napheesa Collier that you guys have heard me say many times before. Sustainability. I told you that was the biggest concern from the WNBA's perspective. We have discussed this many times. From the WNBA's perspective, they are terrified to give multi-million-dollar contracts to players because They are questioning the sustainability of this growth. Now, to Cat Engelbert's credit, this is a very logical concern. The problem for Cat Engelbert, she's not dealing with logical players. You know, when you're negotiating with someone, the last person you want to negotiate with is someone who has nothing to lose. The situation becomes significantly worse if the group that has nothing to lose also thinks they have leverage. This is a dangerous situation for the WNBA. You got to remember, Napheesa Collier is the co-founder of Unrivaled. It is no coincidence that the co-founder of a rival league, the co-founder of a league that is threatening the future of the WNBA, is making this statement publicly. Napheesa Collier and the players involved in Unrivaled, they literally have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Think about it. If WNBA players stand their ground, which they will, next season will be canceled. In the past, WNBA players couldn't afford to do this because their minimum wage salaries were barely enough to live on. They damn sure couldn't survive if they went on strike and they sacrificed those 1,000 peso paychecks. But this time, players have a backup plan. They can play with Unrivaled, where they'll make six-figure salaries in 2 months. The owners of Unrivaled, Napheesa Collier, Breanna Stewart, they are hoping to make significantly more money. They are hoping with the WNBA season being canceled, people will watch their league instead, which is something that did not happen in their inaugural season. The point is, this is no accident. This is no coincidence. This is not a disgruntled player expressing their grievances publicly. Napheesa Collier is a business owner looking to elevate her business by crippling her competition. It's called capitalism, which ironically enough is the same system that most WNBA players despise. Recently, I had someone ask me why I thought so strongly that the 2026 WNBA season was going to be canceled. This afternoon, Napheesa Collier perfectly illustrated why I think that. And look, I understand her perspective. If I were Napheesa Collier and I owned Unrivaled, I'd be doing the exact same thing. But here's the problem. Unrivaled is banking on Caitlin Clark joining their league. If that doesn't happen, the league goes from being a floating turd to a flushed turd. And you better believe the NBA and the WNBA, they are going to do everything in their power to keep Caitlin Clark from joining Unrivaled. But the bigger problem here, if the 2026 WNBA season is canceled, you are destroying all of your momentum. You're destroying all this growth that you spent the last 2 years building. If next season is canceled, Caitlin Clark will have missed 2 years of basketball. 2 years out of the spotlight. 2 years out of the mainstream conversation. If she comes back in 2027, will people be interested? Will people care? I have no idea, but is that a risk you're willing to take? Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.